Welcome. There are a lot of comics in the world, but some of the best gems you have to dig a little deeper for. Indie comics are rich with unique stories and breathtaking art, and that is why they're being used for Netflix and Prime.
Today, Destiny will choose three indie comics campaigns for us to look at and review. Stay with us till the end to see which one of these gems is chosen by Destiny. Stay tuned!
There can be only one.
Da-da-da-da.
Guess what, bitches? I'm back!
Smurf is back. We welcome. Make sure you guys share this out. I don't know where everyone is at. Make sure that everything is
Everything
working.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team. That song has been stuck in my head for 500 miles, and I don't know why.
500 miles. Well, before we get into what this show is all about, quickly tell us about what kept you from being here last week while we go out and share this campaign or this show with all the other Facebook places.
This week's Destiny.
Yes.
I was at RollerCon, which is like the worldwide roller derby con in Las Vegas. So it is weird that I go to an event that I don't really have any skin in the game. So I just show up. I get to be cool, boots on the ground, do what I want, and just enjoy myself. It's weird. But I do some announcing, I do some stuff, but Derby is just such a cool culture. I absolutely love it. It's brutal. It's amazing. Everyone like works together, but is like at each other's throats when they're competing. It brings out like, okay, I know everyone thinks of me as a geek and a nerd, but I am actually an athlete. I was a sports guy. I was one of those footballers and baseballers and dive team. I was one of the athletes in school. So this was like a closet thing. Who knew which was going to pay off better, right? So going to Derby is like, so I played hockey for a lot of years. So there's a lot of similarities for like, you know, skating and all of that. And it just feels so good to do it. So this is my second year and it was fun.
Right on, right on. I'm just trying to make sure everything's working because it doesn't seem like it is. It's not showing on Facebook.
It's not. I tried to refresh.
That's what I'm doing now is refreshing.
Don't mind me while I just kind of manhandle my camera.
There it is. Found it. It just didn't show up in the event like it's supposed to. Okay. That was weird. I swear, I got to tell you, as much as I love being here on the platform of where all the fans are at, where the comic community is at, I get so flustered, frustrated, whatever you want to say, with the platform sometimes. This morning, I went on a walk as I've been doing lately.
Nice.
And what is going on over there, Smurf? So I go out and I you know, it was about 7 o'clock, 7:30 this morning, and I decide, hey, this is a good spot to do a live. I can tell people about the live we're gonna do later on today. So I go on Instagram, which is obviously connected to Facebook, open it up, hit the live button, and it says, you're now live. And I start talking and I like give my entire thing about what a great morning it is. And I look down 5 minutes later and it's still going, hold on, wait, we're still trying to reach people. And I'm like, dude, I'm done. The moment's passed. Get your shit together. Like, what the hell's up with these, this platform sometimes, I swear.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and then of course, you know, not too long ago, you could recall I also got suspended for no apparent reason. But it is what it is. But that is why we're slowly transitioning over to YouTube. So some of you guys probably got a link to YouTube, and we're also making edited versions of the videos on YouTube that are kind of, you know, cut out some of the fluff, but also add some extra graphics, make them more interesting. So be sure and check those out at Matt Campbell Art on YouTube. Also, if you're listen to podcasts, be sure and look for 5280 Geek on all your podcast places.
I got lots to talk about. I finally went to Buc-ee's.
I didn't hear you. Your mouth was full.
Yogurt. I finally went to Buc-ee's. That was the weirdest freaking experience I've ever had. It's like its own weird Walmart culture.
I don't.
So strange.
I'm not. Well, I don't know what Buc-ee's is.
Buc-ee's is this like station across the country that people go to fill up in. It's like, like a Love's or something like that. And it's just so weird. And then I got to tell you about Gordon Ramsay's burger joint. That's also going to be on that podcast. So there's lots to come.
Well, there you go, guys. Be sure and tune in to the podcast. I know the channel is called 5280 Geek, but is there a name particularly for the podcast? You'll be talking about that?
It is called Weekend Geek Update.
The Weekend Geek Update. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the ticker here.
And I missed you. Nothing but love, baby. I know you did so much. And we got our super producer that's running behind the scenes.
Yep. Thank you, Ray, running behind the scenes, switching cameras.
Super producer Ray. So
yep.
I unfortunately today's test pattern focus here.
This is referring to Buc-ee's, I assume.
Yeah, that place.
Yeah, that place. Right on.
So weird. They have fudge. I don't know if fudge at a gas station, that you're going across the country with is a good idea. There are things you don't eat on road trips. Mexican food, sushi, ice cream, things that are going to wreck your gut while you're traveling thousands of miles. There are rules, people. Follow them.
Right.
Okay.
Right on. Right on. Well, welcome, everyone. Welcome, John. Welcome, Ruth. Welcome, Chris. Again, Chris, an old friend from high school, which is going on a long time ago. We're not going to say how long, though. But let's get into it. Like I said, the world of indie comics, it's rich. It's got a lot of cool stuff, and there are some hidden gems out there, and that's what this show is all about. Last week, we had a winner, Project Monsters. A couple of guys from across the pond that had put together a book, and I gave some critique on it. And again, I struggled, by myself. I missed you, but I was really excited to hear some feedback from one of their friends saying that these guys took it to heart. They went back, they edited their video, they made some changes to try and improve their campaign, and that warmed my heart. To me, that's what this show is all about. We want to help people do the best they can with their campaigns. And we look at these campaigns from the point of view of a consumer. What's this telling us? Is it giving us the information that I need to know in order to invest? Because as we've said, there's a lot of comics out there to choose from. Some people will follow your comic just because they follow you, your fans. If you have a fan base already, that's one thing, but ideally, especially when you're new, you want to pitch to an audience that you don't have yet. And indie comics are usually small, so that's generally what you're shooting for. So that's what we're working on in the show. This is
everything we do from a place of love. I indie comics is becoming a new love for me. Like some of my favorite indie comics on the Image side right now. True Love on the Road to Hell, amazing artwork, spectacular story, gunfighter meets samurai on the road to hell. It's a love story. And Scotty Young is doing Ain't No Grave. Issue 3 came out last week. I love the components that Scotty puts together of like family and these complex stories. And Jorge Corona is doing the art. Much love to Jorge, who's local and a good friend. So to see these guys succeed is just big heart right there.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize when you say comics, a lot of people immediately think of Marvel or DC or the big names. But right now, Netflix, Prime, all the other places, Peacock, they are looking heavily at indie comics to get new content, and some of the best stories out there, some of the big things that people are talking about on these shows are derived from indie comics. Um, and so that's why indie comics are just exploding right now.
Yeah.
Ruth is commenting on our awesome coffee mugs. I'm going to be putting this one back up on my shop soon. I got to make some adjustments to it, but all right. So this week, we're going to look at 3 different things, but this is our 14th episode, if you can believe it or not. And each week we're bringing you some new indie comics and introducing you to some of these great stories that are being told. So be sure and hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow, hit all the buttons that you have to hit in order to help us spread the word about the indie comics. But Destiny is going to narrow down all the entries that we've had down to 3 that we will then look at and review on this show and give some feedback. And then we will choose 1 to support and back.
There can be only one.
There can be only 1. So, are we ready to dive into it?
Spin that wheel.
Spin that wheel. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over to the wheel and take a look at our entries this week. I'm going to go ahead and open up the list so I can read it easier. We've got LCS number 1, which I believe actually is referring to what we in the comic community are familiar with, which is local comic shop. So it's a comic called Local Comic Shop number 1. Looking forward to seeing what that's about. We also have Zombie Kid, Penguino's Revenge, Divinity 1 through 4, Charms 1 through 4, Pendragon, BD14 Anthology from Big Dog Inc., Mega Maiden, Vermyn, Xanthus, and Disinter. Nice selection this week, so let's roll the Wheel of Destiny. Spin, baby, spin. And let's see who the first one is. This week, I'm going to remember to write these down because I forgot last week.
That does complicate things.
Yes, it does. All right, our first selection is Disinter. We'll remove that one. Next up. Spin, baby, spin. We've got, it looks like, Mega Maiden. Congratulations. And 1 more to go.
Who will Destiny choose?
I need a little drum roll sound effect for the end of our show when we pick our final winner. We're going to have to upload that.
Yeah.
Oh, you got one. Awesome.
Super producer, hard at work.
Yeah. And Vermyn. Vermyn. Okay. So while we're pulling up those tabs, if you're watching this show and you know who those creators are, be sure and go reach out to them, tag them, let them know that they are on the show right now and that we're going to be taking a look at their campaign. So let me go ahead and remove all the ones that we're not going to be using today. We need... I don't know why that song got stuck in my head all of a sudden.
It's like when you go to the Avalanche game and they start playing songs and then you continue singing with it. It's just, you can't help it.
I was a little bummed out because I don't think I heard All the Small Things all season last season.
I heard it a few times. And there was one that I think we almost went through the entire song singing. So that was kind of cool. I forgot I think it was, I thought it was maybe against Dallas. I don't remember. And then they played Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Because the Avs scored 8 goals. And everyone started singing with that. I was like, yes!
All right, I can see some likes on the video, so let's. I want to see a couple more likes before I open this next video up. Two Gargoyles Comics says that's my go-to hum. That and the Jeopardy theme. I often will bring that one up in class.
I mean, we could go with the Smurf song.
No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no,
no.
no, 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 no. I
All
mean, we
right.
could go back to the Lego song that plagued my mind for 500 miles.
All right, let's take a look at the first one, Disinter number 2. There we go. Perfect.
I like it.
Our first selection today is Disinter number 2, Undead. The island of Hokkaido is under attack after ancient eldritch terror is released. A 28-page full-color survival horror. All right.
I
So
love this horror.
an ancient evil is released, and they are trying to survive the horror in full color.
I mean, that checks a lot of boxes. We got why, what, where. I mean, that's
Yep.
halfway there. What do we
We
got?
are halfway there, right?
Yep.
They've got $1,000 goal with 12 days to go. That seems pretty promising. We got some interesting art here. I don't see a video up here yet, but one of the things that I'm seeing here is we got on the left, we got some nice art of this. I forget what you call that outfit. That Asian
A gi?
gi, is that what it's called?
Gi or-
But it looks nice. It's beautiful. It's very pretty. And then we have this middle one with that from a distance almost looks like sci-fi or something. And then, but I think it's more monster based. But I see some people in here with like modern guns and weapons. And then we have this one. So they kind of throw me off a little bit as far as their vibe. Like the one on the left feels like it exists in a different time period.
Right.
So maybe there's something like that going on. And maybe it is a kimono. I don't know. All right. So there is no video.
Which is not detrimental, but when there isn't a video, you've got to come out guns blazing. Give us something to look at, and this is good. But like you said, I'm a little torn. It's like, okay, what time period are we in? Because traditional dress like that hasn't been normal place since the 1800s.
Right.
Feudal Japan.
Well, statistics show that having a video, even if they only watch part of the video, they don't watch the whole video, but having any kind of video will increase the success of your Kickstarter by like 50% or something like that. It's a pretty high number because it allows people to absorb a lot of information quickly, especially if you do it right. So, because what you're asking people to do if you don't have a video is to scroll down and read, and unfortunately, people don't want to read anymore.
Nope.
Especially when they're on their phone or on the internet. But we're going to read it for you and tell you what it's all about. So this says, welcome to the world of Disinter. Disinter, a verb to dig up or to unbury. Disinter is a survival horror intended for mature readers. Fans of Lovecraftian horror genre will enjoy this gripping narrative of an unleashed ancient evil. Fans of The Mummy, Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, and The Walking Dead will also enjoy this limited series.
I right there, that's good. If you would have just done like a Star Wars scroll and even did like a Samurai Jack style, many moons ago, the ancient evil came. I mean, that would have been a very cool just effect to get people, because you had the text and the voiceover reading it in kind of like a ancient and many moons ago.
Yeah. I get it. Again, Smurf is available for voice acting if you need it.
Many moons ago, Smoke came and talked a lot. Wouldn't shut up.
Right. Well, it says over here, interestingly enough, it's kind of hidden underneath of Smurf right there, but right here, the creator says Joel Thurman has a PhD in media studies. Um, you, if you have a PhD in media studies, you probably know that video is king on the internet. Video's kind of taken over everything. So be sure and use that to your biggest advantage, especially on Kickstarter. Let's see a little bit more, though. I really want to know more about this book because the book hits on the points of things that I like. It's got eldritch terror, survival, horror, but before I scroll down and look, the thing that I'm looking for right now, I'll tell you, is like the characters. Because when you look at, like, for instance, Godzilla, when you look at all the Godzilla movies, most of them tended to be more about the monster, and it was just, people running around scared. All of a sudden, Godzilla Minus One comes out, and it's actually about people, and it turns out to be the best Godzilla movie ever made. So, or you could argue with me that if you want, but when there's an emotional connection, there's real characters that we can attach ourselves to in a survival situation like Walking Dead. That's what we're going to be getting attached to, because otherwise all the monsters or the undead or whatever, that'll wear off after a while if we don't have characters. So as I'm scrolling down here, I'm going to be looking for that. Who are these characters, and why is it going to be interesting? Why is it going to be something I'm going to want to be invested in? Okay, so right away at below, or I should say after this, it says, in this issue, archaeologist James Kaiser, let's see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. Oops. Got to be on the right tab. Does that zoom in at all? Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Hot damn. Archaeologist James Kaiser has come face to face with the demigod Chimerus and is now fighting for his life. But will he live to tell the tale? So, John Batista, Interpol agent, is on a mission to apprehend a notorious antiquities thief. He's already joined forces with the local Yakuza and meets a new ally in this issue.
I don't think you can use that name.
Well, I think it's a combination of names, it's like Dave Batista and it's a wrestling fan, obviously. John Cena, Dave Batista, we'll just grab them together. I mean, it's good for familiarity. I mean,
I applaud you on that one. That one's I like that. That's a great mashup.
And then it says Hollis De Rosa, jet-lagged and exhausted, finds that returning home from college is not homecoming she expected. So, based on what I've just told you, where's your head at right now?
I mean, it sounds cool. It's just I would have stopped reading.
And why is that?
There's not a big enough hook. I mean, you're getting down to the characters, but I mean, what? I don't care. I have no buy-in. The characters sound cool, but
So what would make you care?
I think if it was honestly told to me, I would be like hanging on every word.
Right.
Having to read it, you pause, you look away, you get distracted, your mind starts to wander to other places. Like right there, Dave Batista, after hearing that or reading it, my mind went 5 different directions.
Right.
And that's just how my brain works. Maybe other people would stay more focused, but I think the key of reading is creating your own environment when you do so. And
Right.
you can't control that environment. When you're telling someone a story, they're listening, they're intent, they're focused on your words. Reading, it's an entirely different landscape. And
Right.
my landscape, I'm like, okay, cool, next.
Right.
I'll wait to see when it shows up.
Yeah. So for me, the hook would be to give me something that's going to make us, connect to something.
Mhm.
If you can make people feel something, whether it's laugh, excitement, worry, whatever, then people are going to be a lot more intrigued. So like when I read these, I read that each character had completely different stories. So what I'm assuming is that this story starts off with like three different characters in their lives, and eventually they come together maybe because of this disaster.
Right.
But they're just telling me the setup for these characters, like this person's on a plane and this person's trying to do this. Does that actually have anything to do with the actual overall story of fighting the monsters, surviving? Are these people going to end up together? And if they are, that would make a more intriguing type of thing where you've got a young girl. It just says she's in college. So a college girl coming home, if she suddenly is stuck next to an Interpol agent who is, joining forces with the Yakuza, then I can see where there's going to be some conflict there, some weird things happening. And if they have to work together to survive, to try and save somebody, that means that this young college girl is going to have to work with this, Interpol agent. That's intriguing. That's something happening. That's something I can understand and wrap my head around. And so that's, I think, what you could add to this to really get people more intrigued is to put in there like what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve, what their goal is, so that we know, what's going to be the big problem here.
Yeah. Does destiny take over? I mean, is it a case of happenstance? Is there a higher power? I mean, I don't. Like I said, a better hook would be helpful.
Two gargoyles. I saw this pop up earlier, but I didn't catch it. Says, I found that each character bios didn't intrigue. I agree they need a hook for each character. So, yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily need to know their whole backstory. All we need to know is, like, if this personality is completely different than this personality and they have to work together to do something, then that's going to be intriguing if you set it up right.
Yeah, I'm just... Right? I mean, it's cool premise, great idea, just not enough to keep my attention.
Right. It does have a lot of cool art.
I mean, the art looks great. It looks
See
cool.
if I can make that any bigger. Yeah, I mean,
it's not on a lack of skill or design or anything else. I mean, the backgrounds, they actually have backgrounds. I mean, that's in color. And they only want $1,000.
Yeah,
I do think. Ooh, and we got boobies. Drink.
Yeah, that was actually something I was gonna mention. Of course, we got to mention boobies, but
Drink.
I didn't get any impression that this book. It did say mature audiences at one point, so I'll give it credit for that. But other than that, I didn't get any impression that this book was like a sexy book. And so this right here seems like capitalizing on one of the things that most people in, the online community, especially Kickstarter community, know sells well on Kickstarter, and that's the sexy covers. So, I get it, I have sexy covers on my Mythica books, but I also have that come up in the book occasionally, so it kind of ties in. I feel like, it could work. It could end up bringing you a few more people in. We'll see. But it also could backfire, and people be like, oh, I was intrigued until I saw it was a booby book, So it's a different, clientele. If you make a book that's just about, sexy stuff, that's the clients are going to show up and see that. They know that's what they're getting, and that's what they're there for. So, but all in all, I think this has potential. I think there's some good stuff here, and I think that just a little bit of arrangement could make this campaign really, really pop.
I think so. Like I said, there's a lot of missed opportunity.
Yeah,
a lot. And I hate to say it that way, but it is what it is.
Well, hey, you know what? You never know. The other two campaigns might have even less stuff to show. So this one still might be our winner. We don't know. Let's find out, though.
So on to Mega Maiden.
On to Mega Maiden. Let's switch over to that tab. There we go.
Okay.
All right. Mega Maiden, Welcome Home, number 1. Why do I feel like I've read this before?
I don't know, but it has a lot of similarities to Ben Dunn's art style.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. I feel like I read this like 2 weeks ago, but you guys can let me know. Everyone's favorite punk girl supers, Mega and Choppy, are back in full color, ready for 24 pages of super powered beatdowns. Okay? So,
Okay.
punk girl supers. Let's take a look at the video.
Hey there,
You remember this
I'm
guy.
Andy Pinkard, and let me tell you about my comic Mega Maiden. So, Mega Maiden is about the
I'm 100% sure that we saw this like a week or two ago
Yes.
because we were talking about how it was being delivered kind of slow.
Yeah. And they put us to sleep.
So, although, you guys are welcome to
Resubmit.
yeah, I was sorry, I was reading a comment that popped up. You guys are always welcome to resubmit if you don't make it into the top 3, but if you've already made it in the top 3, then it goes. So we're gonna spin again. Go back to the Wheel of Destiny here.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, we ready? We're gonna get a new submission here.
All right,
Number
let
2.
me do that. I'm putting on my thinking hat. See what we get.
Pendragon.
Super cheese.
All right. Emmy, if you could pull up that link for me because I already closed all those tabs. And I'm going to jump over to Vermyn.
Let's see Vermyn.
Vermyn. All right. So,
Cheese for the Vermyn.
okay, we got that one up. So, I'm replacing Mega Man with Pendragon on my notes so I don't forget that either. All right, Vermyn. Vermyn Incorporated, number 1. Blue Shack Comics, a 24-page color issue. Story by Zach Lynch, pencils and ink by Demetrius Chekovas, colors by Ross Campbell, and letters and layout by Desi Ciente. Okay, so you used your hook space to tell us who was on it. If it was really big names, I'd be all over that. But maybe it's something.
I mean, at least
Awesome.
he's acknowledging the creative team. I'm kind of like, okay. I mean, these people may have a decent following, and if you're building on your fan base, I don't disagree with that choice.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, if they're like, hey, we love these guys, then it's going to help. Well, let's see what the video tells us about Vermyn. "18 seconds in now." That was it. That's all we got. So Smurf, I'll let you go first on this one. But
Okay.
okay.
Wow. know. I mean, I would have hoped for a better payout for as long as that intro was. I mean, speed that shit up. Come on. 3 seconds. I mean, maybe 5, but 18?
Well, I was going to bring this up when it was my turn, but when something beyond the titles finally started, it was at like 27 seconds.
Okay, too long. I like the music. It made me feel like kind of like classic 80s horror and, bad, cheesy 80s films. I don't know anything about this. Is the rat the guy? Is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles how we get Splinter? There are too many like other weird similarities, and you're no close to knowing anything.
Right.
The art looks intriguing, but again, didn't see enough. Saw a silhouette. I like the use of color, but really, I I'm gonna pass. I have no interest in finding out more. Like, okay, that was too long.
Doesn't even have interest in finding out more.
No, I don't, because all I saw was a rat covered in goo. And does he mutate? Does he turn into this vermin person? I mean, what? Like, to your point, and I know you're going to say it. Why do I care? I mean, EPA, are they going to be down there? I mean, Walter Peck shows up from the Ghostbusters, and I'm going to close you down. I don't.
Right.
I have no buy-in. I don't know enough, and there was nothing.
Right. I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. But we want to give people a way to improve. So I agree. It was all intro. It was slow. 30 seconds to show, the name and all that stuff. People are going to already have closed this video and moved on before you get to anything. So that's thing number one. If you're going to have a video, just, get to the something that's visually exciting or audibly interesting or talking as quickly as you can, because people have short attention spans, right?
Get to the meat. Get to the potatoes. Hell, even give me an appetizer. Give me something other than this. I mean, cryptic music, great job, but
I think one of the things that I see happen a lot, and I actually did this for my very first video campaign on Kickstarter, and I've learned since then that a lot of people treat their video on Kickstarter or whatever their platform is as if it's a movie trailer. And they start with this opening credit, which, by the way, if you watch movie trailers, most of them don't show the opening company credits until you actually sit and watch the movie and you're locked into the theater, because they also know they don't have but like 2 minutes. But they try to do all this sort of cinematic stuff with their comic, but they don't include the parts that are in a trailer that are important, which is the voiceover, the people in the movie that are speaking, that are giving you like little crumbs about what this story is about along the way. And so when you're doing a campaign that's based on a comic that's, just 24, 48 pages, and maybe it's not the whole story, obviously you don't have enough content to make a trailer the way that they do in a movie. So you got to use your voice, or use someone's voiceover, to explain a few things.
just to even just a little bit, a little sprinkling in there. I mean, lower the music bed. Just give some quick bullet points. Vermin, he's coming.
Right.
I mean, just something to just shake me out of the intro coma that I got thrown into. I just like.
Well, like I said, I'm trying to find ways that we can offer. It says Zach Lynch is the creator here, that we can offer some constructive feedback, because it is missing a lot, and I want people to walk away with like a way to make this better, instead of just saying I'm not interested in this, right? So again, on the video, get right to it. Show us again what this is about. Right now, what we know so far is that there's this like evil vermin that's rising up from the sewers, but like, again, almost in comparison to like the last one where we had this like big thing that was coming up out of the earth, like how is that different? What's the story about? And also if it's a rat, like I don't know what extent its powers are. Like can I just run over it with a garbage truck and be done? Like
I mean,
what's going on?
are we cheering for Vermin? Or are we rooting against Vermin? I mean, is it
Yeah.
like everybody versus, or you know what? We feel sorry. He is like the TMNT. He was, you know, mutilated or experimented upon or whatever it could be. So, what side of the coin am I on? Am I cheering or like, ooh, get him? Give
Wow.
us some direction.
I gotta say, this is the smallest, shortest campaign I've ever seen. First, we have this video that is mostly introductory stuff. Then here we have a thing that says story. We got one sentence, then we have a picture, and then we have these three sentences, and that's it, pretty much. And then this, that's it. And this says this is the newest book from Blue Shack. This starts talking about all the artists again and uh, what we're raising the money for. And then this is all here talking about the creator. So Two Gargoyles says one thing intrigues me. If the comic is about this Vermyn, how does the Incorporated fit in? Does he form a company? Is Jeff Bezos secretly a goo rat?
Valid questions.
That is a valid question. I agree. So
So,
where's
yeah,
the
which side of the
Incorporated come
coin am I
from?
on? Cheering for
Um,
victory or, rooting on? I don't know.
yeah, absolutely.
But you know
That
what?
was a great comment.
Shorter is more. I mean, I guess. I don't know. This is very interesting to me, and I don't know if it was well thought out as far as what their objectives were. Before you
Well,
do this, I would always have like a punch list. Your card. Here's what we're trying to achieve. Here's our objectives. Outline your Kickstarter.
right.
That's my biggest gift for this.
Well, and we've talked about how like there's different things that intrigue people. For some people, it's violence. For some people, it's comedy. For some people, it's relationships. And when you leave it this vague, none of those things are being resonated with. I don't know if this is going to be a funny comic or a serious comic. I don't know. I don't have any indication that there's any relationships or whatnot. I don't even know if it's going to be violent. Like nothing is being told to me yet. So the more that you can give people those little crumbs of like what kind of book this is going to be, what the challenge is going to be, the better off it's going to be. Now I want to add something that may be up for debate. So I'm open to people, commenting on what they think. But when I want to show this campaign for a second here, and I'm going to zoom in. When I see this, I feel like it can hurt. Why isn't it zooming in? Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. That's why. Is it going now? There we go. All right, I don't know if you can see that over there or not, but it says that 6 were created and 0 have been backed. That's understandable in my mind when you're making your first one. That you're right out of the gate, you're unfamiliar with Kickstarter, you didn't realize the community, and you go throw it on there. When you start getting 2, 3, 4 campaigns you've made and you still haven't backed anyone else, that gives the impression that, to me anyway, and you guys can tell me what you think, gives me the impression that it's all about you. You don't really care about the rest of the community. You're supporting the rest of the community. And that may not be true, but that's what the impression I get when I see 0, right? So it's really helpful to go out and get involved in the community and support them as well, so that they know that you're not just here to make a quick buck. That's my 2 cents on that. What do you guys think? Do you think that matters? Let me know in the comments. And what do you guys think, or what do you think, Smurf?
I'm with you on that topic, and in addition to, I get the feeling that they don't care. This does feel to me like a cash grab, where they're not going to take the time to cultivate and grow this cult Kickstarter for the fans to be interested, and it reflects in the people that are funding it. There's not enough, and I just uh, eh.
Yeah.
And we're not here to bash. And you know what? I apologize, but I I kind of like there's not enough for me.
Two Gargoyles says it's absolutely matters to support the community one is in. A rising tide rises all boats. Exactly. Support and in turn to be supported. And I agree with that. I feel like it can also go the other direction where some people are like, hey, I am an indie creator, so I support, every indie comic I see, I go throw money at it on Kickstarter. Not everybody can afford to do that. Like, I want to support them by sharing their links and promoting them and saying, hey, go check this out. But I'm still gonna purchase and buy and invest in the ones that intrigue me first, um, so I see that go the other direction sometimes too, where we've talked about it on the show, where people will have a campaign and they're like very involved in the community. They're on the chat groups with the comics, and they're like, hey, here's my comic. And they just have this expectation that it says, hey, since I supported you during your comic making, now come support mine. And I get that. There's truth to that. You want, some reciprocation, but at the same time, you should just be treating it like, here's why you should come support my comic. Here's what it's all about.
The karma can only go so far, and yes, all of us are working with limited budgets, and I completely agree with you on that. So sometimes you have to be a little bit selective and just don't do it on the grounds of you're expecting something back. It's a pay it forward type of scenario.
Right.
Still,
Right.
be involved in the community.
Well, we've dragged on to this one a little bit, so let's go on to the next one. Thank you guys for getting me the link on that one, pulling that up. We'll jump over to it right away. We've got Pendragon, The Legend Foretold, Book 1. A 78, I think there's supposed to be the word page right there. It's a 78 oversized prelude to an interdimensional fantasy series featuring King Arthur and Celtic mythology. Obviously, my ears are perking when I hear Celtic mythology. I like that, they've told us a little bit. I know it's a fantasy series, Celtic mythology, King Arthur, right? So we've got some interesting stuff already. They've already hit goal. They've only got 34 hours to go. I don't see the video here, but they've done this without a video as well.
Okay, the new
but
trend, yes.
They've hit goal. And they're still trucking along with 34 hours. So far, though, the entry has told me some interesting stuff. Let's scroll down and see what else it tells us. I can't believe how few videos we got today. All right. Pendragon, The Legend Foretold. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. There we go.
Cool.
Pendragon, Legend Foretold, Book 1 is the beginning to a 4-part Arthurian saga showcasing legacy, honor, and the will to protect. Book 1 is oversized in 8.5 by 11-inch comic format containing 78 pages of breathtaking action. Cool. So it's not only bigger, but it's also a nice thick book, 78 pages. Look at this real quick. 5 created, 129 backed. Story. Born into nothing, David Gracie never thought his life would go anywhere until he was visited by the druid Mirrodin. Given a chance at greatness, he becomes the new wielder of long-dead King Arthur's sword. I don't know how to say that. I'm just going to move on. But in return, he must fight to preserve the barrier of the mortal plane and prevent his realm from merging with the land of the fairies. So we've got we've got what he's going after. So the setup is there,
Setup is there. I mean, I like it. It explains. There's a buy-in, and I like the art.
Yeah, we got some nice action sequence going on right here.
I mean, that's more than we got out of Disinter.
Yep. So Here's another quick tip when it comes to those of you that are trying to build a Kickstarter and you've only got enough money to maybe pay an artist to do a couple pages so that you can make a Kickstarter. You can't afford to pay them to do the whole book because that's why you're raising the money to get the Kickstarter, right? That makes sense. So you've got this entire book. Focus on the pages that are going to be the most visually interesting to have your artists work on first. They don't necessarily need to start working on page one in order of the book all the time. Say, hey, draw this badass splash page first so that I can show it on Kickstarter as the most intriguing thing, and then go back, because then you have some interesting stuff to look at, right? It doesn't always work out that way, but it's possible, right? I'm going to read this message real quick from, actually, there's a couple of them, so we'll just read this one. I have a nitpick. He says, it should be mortal plane. I mention it only because it makes me think, if you don't proofread your work on Kickstarter, did you make any effort on your book? That's a good point. I did catch something like that in the first title. It said 78 fantasy. It didn't say 78 page. So that's a good point.
Nope. And we talked about that before in the past. Have someone edit your shit.
Oh yeah, because it says mortal plane, PLAIN instead of PLANE, right? And that's a fair thought. When you see something misspelled here, you're like, is there going to be misspellings in the book as well? All right, so journey to a separate dimension filled with gods, fairies, and monsters from Celtic mythology. Pendragon also features various favorites from Arthurian mythology. The team has completed all of the inked pages. We still need your help to paying for the finalization of the remaining pages, right? That's good to know, right? Yeah. So, all in all, I feel, here we got one that says meet David Gracie. So there's even some information about the character, Pendragon's protagonist and newly declared wielder of Excalibur. So telling us a little bit about the character and then some more art. So I think that's a really comprehensive package. It's got all the stuff that we need. And, I think that's been the best presentation I've seen so far. I think this week might be an easy pick, but
yeah.
But is there anything that you could see that could be, improved or constructive feedback we can give this creator, other than the typos?
Like I said, editing. Always let someone else read it. I know spelling demons are always out there. I am the world's worst speller. I get it.
Yeah, me too.
Things slip through. You fat finger something, but still get a second pair of eyes. Other than that, I mean, the video I'm sure could have added a little bit more, but they've already funded. So, I mean, either that's a decent fan base, enough about it. I do like the art. I mean, you can't argue with the success.
Yeah.
So
well, and I attribute to the success to the clarity. There's all the information that I need to know to make a decision on here. Could it be more excitingly presented? Could there be a video? Sure, but it is all there, and that's the thing. Like, in the end, you got to have all the main components.
Well, and they didn't bury the lead. They came out strong, and they got our attention. And I'm in.
I do agree with Ray. He says, I feel like there could be such a cool video. You're right. The amount of cool shots that are down below, just with that content alone, and then you've got all this great content, word-wise, that you could have voiceovers for. I think you could easily put together a pretty amazing video with this.
Just even swords clashing against each other.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, all the big sound effects are there. The clang, the swooshes and the whooshes, and there's so many sound effects that you could pour into a video like this. I can see it happening.
Have to do words, just sound effects. That would have been great. That would have been great. Just a video of sound effects.
And I could see it. I could see it
while you read it. It's like having Kevin Conroy's voice for Batman. Every time I read a comic, it's his voice. So while you're reading, you hear the clang. The clong. Yeah, that would have been great. That would have been my. There it is. That's my suggestion.
All right.
Ready to vote?
Well, it's time to announce our final choice, the book that we're going to go back. It might be obvious, but we're going to go through the drum roll process anyway. For those of you that are still with us, be sure and leave your comments down below about who you would pick. And are you ready, Smurf?
Ready.
All right, drum roll, please. And yeah. I think that one was an obvious pick, but had to do it anyway. All right, now, what would you say was the big takeaway of this show before we wrap up?
That you don't necessarily need a video to get funded, but it does help keep an attention. And have an outline.
I agree. Tell us what this story is about, not just that you have made a story or that you've made a comic. What is your comic about? Why is your comic special? Why is it different? That's what we're trying to help people do. And if you'd like to have more help with that, like to have someone take a look at your campaign, feel free to message me on Facebook or Instagram or even on YouTube, any of the platforms that I'm on. I'm happy to take a look. I'm sure Smurf is as well. But yeah, we want to help. And we love comics. We love indie comics, and we want to see these comics succeed. And some of these comics might have some real potential, but we don't really get an idea of what potential they have because it's not being delivered to us. And that's what we want to help people do.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. If you want to help support this show, the best thing you can do is go to either 5280 Geek, listen to their podcast, support their podcast so they can get advertising through their show. Do you guys get advertising? I don't know.
I do.
And then for my side, you can go to actionlinestudios.com, buy my Mythica books, buy shirts, buy all the things. That stuff helps us be able to continue this show, continue to make comics, continue to do all the things. So please help keep us going. We enjoy what we're doing and we want to keep doing it. So with that, I think we say goodnight.
We say goodbye. Is it time for me to give us our out on that bombshell?
Do it.
We shall say goodbye. Run fast, laugh hard, and always be kind. Good night.